everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Alchemy Podcast. I'm excited to be here with Jeff Burningham. This is a conversation that I've been thinking about for weeks.
Oh, good, Doug.
I know.
Glad to hear that.
I'm excited to be here.
I often think about you.
Do you?
And all the badass things you're doing
Thanks,
in life.
man.
Super cool.
Yeah, so we got introduced like a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
From our mutual friends, Dan and Julie.
Yeah.
And ever since I came over to your house, you know, you're asking me about my book. You now have a book, which is the last book written by a human.
That's right.
Yeah.
So I'm glad you wrote yours first.
Yeah,
you know? Yeah, it's called The Last Book Written by a Human, Becoming Wise in the Age of AI.
Yeah. So I'm really excited to learn from you today because when I hear AI, I think of two things. I think of the Terminator and then I think of ChatGPT.
Yeah.
And that's about the extent of my AI knowledge.
Yeah.
Right. And so kind of not being someone who I don't get excited by it. I don't know much about it, but you kind of hear people are like, oh, we're past the point of no return with AI and it's going to take over the world and it's going to doom and gloom and it's going to end humanity. And in my head, I'm like, I don't know. I have no clue what's going on. Are we about to get taken out by AI, Jeff? What do you think?
No one knows that.
Yeah.
I mean, like, that's the question, right? And certainly my book, the book that I wrote, is the bull case for AI. Like, it's what it could be. And I'm a venture capitalist, a serial entrepreneur, as you know, but I ran for governor in the state of Utah in 2020, lost. The most critical months of the campaign were March, April, May, and June of 2020. So right when the pandemic hit, I was running against two very well-known political candidates, lost out into the race, took my family to where I grew up, Coeur d'Alene. I grew up in Spokane, Washington, but grew up kind of water skiing and wakeboarding on Coeur d'Alene Lake. Love it. One of my favorite places in the world. We went there for a couple months and I dove back into the venture work that I had missed while I was running for governor for 18 to 24 months. And there was a lot of interesting technologies and things happening, especially crypto and DeFi, et cetera, in 2020. But the thing that stuck out by far the most was AI. And obviously that's something I knew about before, but it was becoming more real. And pretty early on, I don't know why this is, Doug, we could talk about it, but my focus was on like the spiritual aspects and or the existential issues for humanity with AI. So I dove in right then that summer. I've made, I've made a dozen or more now AI investments, but what I've mostly dedicated the last 5 years of my life to in terms of AI was understanding the spiritual and existential questions in terms of humanity. And this book, The Last Book Written by a Human, is a product of like those wanderings and those paths, that research, that work. And so, no one knows the question. No one knows the answer to that. But let me just say this. I believe that AI is a cosmic mirror to humanity because it's just consuming all of human data that from the history of time. And then it's watching, how does Doug use me? How does Doug work with me, ChatGPT, et cetera? So it's taking all the real-time data we give it and all the existing data and reflecting it back to us.
Yeah, it's like it has a perfect knowledge of every input of all time, right?
Yeah.
And so one thing I've actually noticed with AI is I'll never forget when I first found ChatGPT and I put in some prompt and it blows out some crazy thing. And I remember my mind was blown, right? I was like, holy shit, what is this, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is going to change my career. And as time has evolved, I actually have noticed that I've stopped reading newsletters. I've stopped reading long form type because I'm like, this person didn't write this, right? Right. This is they just threw in a prompt and generated it. And so I've noticed that it's lost validity.
Yeah.
Right. And a lot of long form type, I don't put as much weight into it because I'm like, no, this person didn't write it. And so when you talk about the spirituality piece of this, one thing that I have been leaning more into is face-to-face experiences, video, because it has the human part of it.
Yeah.
Right? It's the authenticity, it's the connection, which the AI piece doesn't have.
Yeah.
Right. And you can see when people post stuff, I'm like, AI wrote this.
Yeah.
And now it feels disingenuous.
Yeah.
And that creates a disruption.
Yeah, a couple of thoughts on that. Like the messiness, like when you were doing your intro, my water bottle squeaked because I took a drink and put it over here. AI would never have that. Like my point of that is you miss the messiness, which is the beauty of being alive, the beauty of being human. So I think the question, or one of the key questions for us, as AI gets highly efficient and effective and can do most of what we've done better than we can, what are we left with?
Yeah.
And I argue in the book, we're left with our being. We're human beings, not human doings. And so, like, it's time for us to look inside, to go inside ourselves, to do the hard work that's there, to find, the answers and challenges that lie within. I think AI will push us towards that because it is so good at doing. And I know what you're talking about the long form. That's interesting. I wrote every painstaking word in my book. I bled into this mother. It's a little bit of a twist and a little bit of a secret, but it's not a big deal. The foreword was actually written by ChatGPT.
Yeah.
But the rest of the book, I wrote every word, and it was such a crucible for me, such a life-changing event. But yeah, that's interesting. It's going to change our lives in many, many ways.
Yeah, because you have to get pressed up against the pain point, right, to grow and expand. And if AI can just come in and take that from you, there's no growth in that, right?
Yeah.
When you talk about the human beingness, and part of the human beingness is we're very faulty.
Yeah.
We're like we make massive mistakes all the time.
Yeah.
Right. And so getting back to that level of imperfection, of really being pressed up against our wits' end so we can grow and expand, is the humanness that it's what being human is all about. And no one knows that better than you, because you've had multiple roles, right? You are world-class 1% entrepreneur, right? You ran for governor, right? You were a leader in the church at one point. You're a leader in the community. Of all of those things, like, you had to go through failure. You had to go through hard times to become who you are. And to rely on AI for some of those hard moments, to solve some of those hard moments for you, it would have robbed you from your opportunity to become human.
Yeah, yeah. I think that AI could definitely stunt our growth. It could definitely, I'm thinking especially of like younger students. It certainly can kind of stunt that. And education's going to need to reform here with everything that's happening. I think it could also cause us to, like I said, kind of pause and reflect. As I think of all those roles that you mentioned, which I'm so grateful to have had, and I haven't done great at all of them, but I've tried hard. The common denominator is relationship, human relationship. And so I think we have to think a lot about relationship in the age of highly intelligent machines. Because as our kids and as we spend more and more time on our devices and more time in relationship, let's say with AI or the almighty algorithm, it should give us pause. And when ChatGPT can talk sweet to you, always take your side. Doug, you look beautiful this morning. You eat so well. You're awesome. You're so smart. Like, there's no friction, or there doesn't have to be any friction. But that's not real life. I mean, I'm married. I'm a father of four. I'm actually a grandpa. I have a 1-year-old grandson. The real beauty of life and the real growth, like you said, is found in friction and in human relationship. So there's a call in this book for religion to be reformed, because I think religion is about human community and connection.
Mm-hmm.
And we are dying for that. Like, we need that desperately in the decades to come. There's a call for reform around political divisiveness, because that's another thing that AI can be good at, or the algorithm is obviously good at via social media, et cetera, is dividing us. Like, highlighting our differences. Doug, you and I are different. Like, we have a different background, et cetera, et cetera. And that difference, that diversity is beautiful. However, anytime that you or I are sitting with another human being like we are right now with each other, we always have more in common than we have different. We've forgotten that. Like, in our political division and everything else, we've forgotten that there's actually more uniting us than dividing us. So anyways, it's a challenging time, and AI can either be, I think, a tool to help us become more wise, or it can be a tool to divide us further.
Yeah, you talked about the AI always hyping you up, and I saw a funny meme yesterday, and it said, the dumbest person you know is waking up every morning to chat GPT telling them how smart they are.
Exactly.
Like
How
you got
beautiful
this.
they are.
You're
Yeah.
crushing it. Well, you're brilliant.
Yeah. And there's some good in that,
Yeah,
right? Like some
right.
people need a little pump up, and it's
Yeah.
not bad to have a little mantra that might help you out or whatever. And some people are really lonely. So there's some good in that. It's just like, what's the line of becoming overly reliant on something that at least now and probably forever is not real? It's not conscious yet. It's not human. It doesn't really know. Doug, you and I have had tremendous success in our life and tremendous heartache. AI doesn't really know the feel of that. It doesn't know the ache of losing someone that you love. It doesn't know maybe the pain of even just like injury to your body or being unhealthy. Like, so it lacks that empathy that only humans can share together. And I think there's magic in that. I think that's what we're going to be called to lean into, that magic in the decades to come, so that we can become more wise in the age of highly intelligent machines.
Now, I want to go back to the point you said about community, because I just had an aha moment sitting over here.
Cool.
And I got some clarity. So I live alone, right? I'm single, never married, no kids, 36 in Utah. I guess something's wrong. Like in the Utah culture, I'm old. But it's funny, when I was in LA, I'm still like young, and it's not an issue. It's only an issue here, right?
You're
But
in your prime, bro.
I'm in my prime. I'm not worried. I genuinely am not worried about it. I actually love living alone. It's great. But so I'm also a huge nerd. So I love studying. I deeply study Michael Singer on Tethered Soul and his work. I deeply study Ram Dass, and I multiple hours every day, and it's great. And I learn, and I do the YouTubes, and I listen to the lectures and whatnot. But for the last 2 weeks, every night about 8 o'clock, I leave my phone at home and I walk to the park across the street from where I live. And at this park, right, is where Little League football practice is happening. And I go on a walk, and what's really cool is two kind of mentors I grew up with, some friends of mine, are coaching those Little League teams. And so I walk across the park, my phone's at home.
Yeah.
And I sit on the grass and I watch these 12-year-old kids in their football practice, and they're all hyped up, right? And I'm watching my friends coach them, and I'll watch it for 45 minutes as the sun's going down. And I just have this moment. I'm like, this is it.
Yeah.
Like, this is it. And then the practice ends. Then I go chat it up with, two friends, and they tell me about the team and their players and how excited they are. And I'm like, man, this is the highlight of my day, where I am like maximizing my humanness. I'm connecting with these kids. Like, and now I have like a vested interest into these 12-year-olds in my community now. Like, I'm like excited to go to their games on Saturday. And
that's so cool.
And watching my friends, like, and it was really interesting, because I talked to a brother, I'm going to have him on the podcast eventually. I'm not going to say his name, but he mentioned to me that he got into the medicine space, psychedelic space. And he sat with ayahuasca one time. And in that ayahuasca ceremony, I think this was in 2017, ayahuasca told him, said, you don't ever need to do this again. Your role is to be a teacher and a coach, and I will bring the people to you. And that was his message.
Wow.
And now he's like, now look where I'm at. I'm at a Little League football, and I'm coaching these guys. I'm like, this is my purpose. This is it. This is it for me.
Yeah. Yeah. It's those moments of humanness, like you said. The last book written by a human, ironically, is a call to rehumanize ourselves.
Yeah.
And the reason I bring that up is like, that's a perfect, you're like rehumanizing yourself by leaving your phone at home, going and being embodied, walking, sitting on the grass, feeling the earth, Mother Earth.
And I take my shoes off
Take
every
your
time.
shoes off.
I get bare feet in the grass. I sit down, and I like lock my feet in.
Yeah, and then you're with your buddies, and you're probably also, let me guess, because I've coached all my kids' teams growing up, you're also remembering what it was like to be a 12 and 13-year-old.
Well, here's what's crazy, Jeff, is my dad, who passed away in 2011 to colon cancer, very traumatic experience, right? Was the Little League coach.
Yeah.
And he coached me from when I was 8 until I was in high school. And he was the head coach of the Little League football team. So I go sit on that grass by myself, and I'm just reliving these moments of my childhood, and I feel connected to my dad, right? And I just have these moments of just like, in those moments when I'm watching this Little League football practice, I'm like, time stands still. This is it.
Yeah. I mean, it's just so cool. If you could sum up the book in a sentence, it would be as our machines become more intelligent, we as humans must become more wise. And my
Mm.
point is like, namaste, brother. Like you're becoming wise, like you're doing it right. I talk about the three universal teachers that we have. And I just want to like point out that you're using like all of them in your practice. If I could, one is a body. AI is not embodied. As you know, there is more human, like more wisdom in our bodies than we ever like realize or give it credit for. We need to stay in our bodies. You're doing that as you flow and move, etc. The second is like human relationship, like family or relationship. You're connecting with real humans. That's something we can't lose. And then the third is nature. Like
Mm.
nature is modeling for us all the time, maybe the best way to exist and or what our reality is. What reality is. It's this never-ending cycle of life, death, rebirth. Life, death, rebirth. That's mirrored every day, every season. It's something that happens in micro ways in our lives every day. It's something that happens in a macro way. So yeah, this book is really actually, as you can maybe probably tell, it's really about human nature.
Yeah.
It's like 75%, 80% human nature, 20 to 25% about AI. And yeah, it's a cool topic. And I love that you're finding joy in that simple practice.
Another thing too that I've realized, especially in 2025, I don't know if why this year was so impactful for me, but it's interesting to me how much we grow as human beings to appreciate nature as we get older.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've noticed that, like, but
Yeah.
as you age and get older, like you sometimes I'll look at the mountains. I live right underneath Mount Olympus in Holiday, and I'm like, how is this possible?
Yeah. It
Right?
doesn't look real,
It's not
does
even
it?
real.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is crazy.
Like
And
an
I'm like,
illusion.
I've lived here my whole life. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I did a stint in Austin and a couple of years in LA, but for the most part, I've lived in this part of the state underneath this mountain my whole life. And how am I now just seeing it when I'm 36?
Yeah. You grew up in Salt Lake?
Yeah, I grew up in Salt Lake. Yeah, I grew
Wow.
up in Holiday.
Okay.
And I didn't appreciate nature the way I
Yeah.
do now.
Yeah, there's like wisdom that comes with age, I think. And there's some deconstruction that comes. Like, when we're born, I was at the lake, at our lake place with my 1-year-old grandson last week, holding him, playing with him. He's helping me drive the boat. He thinks he's driving it. It's so funny. We're completely like vulnerable as human children. Like we rely 100% on other people to take care of us. Otherwise, we're dead. So with that comes a lot of programming, a lot of conditioning, most of which is good, but some of which isn't good. No family is perfect. And so every family wounds us in unique ways. You could say, I think, every faith tradition might wound us in some unique ways. The religion that I grew up in is beautiful in a lot of ways, and it's also hurtful in some ways. And so the point is at middle age, which you're kind of approaching, I'm
Mhm.
48, so I'm right squarely there. Like it's an opportunity for us to reprogram ourselves. We can do that as humans, which is miraculous. AI can't really, at least until it becomes agentic, reprogram itself. We give it a task, it does kind of what it's told to do. And so there's so much, like I said, magic and wonder and beauty in being human that we maybe have lost some touch with that I think will be returning here into the decade to come. That's my hope. That's my goal. That's what I'm going to be working on. My bet for humanity, I see a renaissance in consciousness happening over the next decade. That's what I feel like in my soul. That's what I see in my friends like you and so many others. And that's just what the collective, that's just like where I feel is going. AI will be a tool or could be a tool for us in that direction if we use it wisely.
Talk about a renaissance in consciousness. And for me, when I feel like I'm out of sync with my humanity, the two emotions I try to bring back into my life to reinvigorate my soul are awe and wonder.
Yeah.
And if I can put myself in situations where I can be very curious and feel the wonder and be awestruck,
Yeah.
right? It almost just like brings me right back to my humanness.
Yeah. And I'm just thinking as you say that, I love that point. Like, can you feel awe and wonder in a future that's not here? I don't know. can you feel awe and wonder in the past? I mean, you could feel gratitude and grateful. You could feel hurt. The point is, I think awe and wonder happen when you're present.
Fully present.
They only happen in the present moment. And as you know, like the present moment is all we have. I mean, the future is a fiction. Like it doesn't even exist really, except in our minds until we get there via the present moment. There is really no future. There's only this present moment and then the next present moment, in my opinion, forever and ever and ever, like forever, ever. And so it's learning, and you're obviously doing this super cool. You're seeing Mount Olympus with like fresh new eyes. I bet it's just because you're present, like you're really present in the moment, which is powerful.
I've been really on a rabbit hole with Ram Dass. Anyone who doesn't know Ram Dass, spiritual teacher, was really important, really big in the 80s and 90s. But he wrote a book called Be Here Now, right? And you hear Be Here Now and be present. And, I've always kind of heard that through my spiritual awakening and whatnot. And his work, and combined with Michael Singer, who talks a lot about quieting the voice inside our head and moving through unpleasant emotions and being okay with where you're at. And in my growth where I'm at, I've, obviously I'm a work in progress, but I feel like I've made a major turn in my growth of being able to separate myself from thought and unpleasant emotions. I'm not trying to fix them. I'm not trying to get rid of them. I've learned to just be okay with them. And then on their own, they're getting really quiet. And when I'm not caught up in mind and not caught up in emotion, and I'm truly present, there's been moments where I've just had like these waves of bliss just moving through me. And I'm like, oh, I get what Ram Dass is saying.
Yeah.
Like, be here now. Like, truly not there then or not there tomorrow, but here now. And it's like these emotional experiences of just like, whoa, deep presence for me. And it's been life-changing.
Yeah. And I think it also, like, presence is key to, I love both these. I quote both of these guys in my book. I think you're going to like it. Michael Singer's, if I could sum up his main teaching in one thing, it would be living in flow, like living in surrender, like living in non-resistance. Yeah. So not resisting anything, but going with the flow. And again, it's really only possible to do that if you're present in the moment. If you're not like thinking ahead of exactly what you need to do, how you're going to do it. And if anything goes off track, you're quickly fixing it and trying to whatever. It's really key to everything. And I think it is possible to live in more bliss than we have understood. I think we have several tools and teachers to help us get there. And I love that you're studying Ram Dass and Michael Singer. Like, what has sparked that? Is that new, or
it's just a calling? I don't know.
When?
So I've been deep in Michael Singer since 2017.
Okay.
And I would say I'm a disciple of Michael Singer. Met him twice,
okay, cool.
Like 10,000.
Is he a nice guy?
Great
Good
guy.
I don't know.
He's exactly what you'd think, right? 10,000 hours in Michael Singer.
Nice.
And I literally, I've journaled this the other day that summer 2025 is my Ram Dass summer.
Wow.
So this summer is my Ram Dass summer.
That's cool.
And I'm going deeper into Ram Dass, deeper and deeper. And you talk about being in bliss and flow. And one thing I just want to define, because it's been important to me, is that being in bliss and flow does not mean that you're actually feeling good all the time. It means you're in bliss with reality of what's happening. Like, I might feel agitated, and that's okay. I'm not trying to get rid of it. I'm not trying to push it away. I'm not trying to overcome it. I'm not trying to sweep it under the rug. I'm not ignoring it. I'm not it's here, and that's okay.
Yeah.
And being okay with the reality of the situation, in your words, you stop resisting, and then you flow with it. So it's like, I'm working with agitation. I'm working with anxiety. I'm working with frustration. I'm not fighting it, changing it. It's okay. I can handle it. Right.
Absolutely.
And that's what creates the merger.
Yeah.
And so now I can be present to the reality of the situation because I'm not trying to get rid of this agitation.
Yeah.
I'm not using my energy to push it away or get rid of it. I can work with it.
Well, I think our emotions are meant to be felt.
Totally.
We cut them off in so many ways. But actually, when you feel them, I think two things happen. One, they don't last like as long as you might think
Never.
they do, usually. They go quickly. And then two, they hollow out more room for good things.
Yeah.
Like they create space for more beauty. And so I don't know how we're talking about this, but like these are all like, I think the keys to us remaining human and to remembering our humanity. And yeah, I've had varied experience in life as an entrepreneur, building large companies, a spiritual leader, like you said, in my church, father and husband, blah blah blah. Governor, run, done a lot of things. But as I look back and connect the dots, I felt so compelled to run for governor. And I'm not a politician. And I tried to grapple with this in 2019 when I was feeling my soul like luring me into deeper waters. Like, what's going on? And I answered the call. I ran because I felt like I should. I didn't want to. Like, it wasn't easy. Politics is ugly. But as I now look, but my point is this: COVID came, I lost. As I now look back, I see that my subconscious was actually taking me off the little stage that I had created. I was, helping run quite an empire at that time on so many boards. I was way too busy. I was a human doing. And this gave me space and time for the first time in my adult life. And I've always told, I'm an adjunct professor, teach entrepreneurship, or I have for several years at BYU. And I always tell the students, like, with space and time, you can create anything. But we are so good at, our ego is so good at filling in any space and time. And a lot of that is because we don't want to feel our emotions.
One thing that's coming up for me, my next book's a couple months out, but what I'm writing on is, from my perspective, and I'm curious from your perspective on this, is I've been really blessed in my life to be in association with very successful people I admire. Yourself, on a business sense, on a spiritual sense, right? You check a lot of the box that I admire. And other people in my life who are great fathers, great leaders, great athletes. And the one trait that I've noticed that they all have in common is they have a very large capacity to feel emotional discomfort.
Mm.
Not, I've designed my life in such a way where I don't have to worry about stress or anxiety or overwhelm or fear. No, it's the opposite. They're really good at feeling fear.
That's interesting.
They're really good at feeling their emotions, right? And so for you look at your situation, to go run for governor,
Yeah.
the ego
Yeah.
is going to be really loud and what
Yeah.
is this and
What the hell are you thinking? Like,
doing, right?
at the top of your game,
Yeah.
people aren't going to like this. Politics is ugly. Yeah.
Yeah. So how do you navigate the ego when it gets really loud and the fear creeps in?
I appreciate that question. It's a great question. I think I think it applies to everyone in big decisions like running for governor and in small decisions. Let me just say, actually, the fear that I felt in writing this book, I have bled into this and teared into this. I'm very vulnerable and open. Humans are a social seeking species for good reason, more than maybe a truth seeking species. And I've tried to tell the truth here. So I'm a little nervous of how that will be accepted. So the things that I do, I think that's an interesting finding that you say about successful people. And I might add one thing to that, which is just they feel it and they keep going.
Yeah.
Like, they don't give up. They don't let it they may be down for a moment. They may have a bad day or night or whatever, but they keep going. So I think that can only come from a peace inside. I think my guess would be, I'm speaking for myself, and this is off the cuff, I've stopped looking to external things for validation. I still do some. I still, I want people to like me. I care what people think, but I think they've gone inside. They've done the work, and it's only through that confidence can continue and show through. We're so used to looking externally outside of ourselves for answers, for validation, for approval, for acceptance. I think the sooner or the more that people stop doing that, the more successful they can be, because they start to hear their own heroic journey inside their own hearts, and they're able to follow it more truly. So that's just totally like conjecture or guessing. But as I reflect on my life, that's what's taking me through. It's not external sources are not what's driving me. It's the internal. You could say it's the divine higher self or the divinity within you that you're so comfortable with and confident in that's what you rely upon and lean on, not any external something.
I mean, really beautifully said, man. And I really resonate with that. And a question I want to go one step deeper with you is I feel like I have a really strong, beautiful relationship with my inner voice or my higher self. And it took a lot of work to get there. I
Yeah.
didn't used to always have this. I
Yeah.
also have a voice inside that says, you're not going to make it, quit, this isn't for you, who do you think you are, you're an imposter. So there's another voice running, right? So how do you distinguish between the two voices, the higher self and maybe the one that's telling you, that's scared about what other people thinking about you, right? And then how do you strengthen that muscle of that higher self?
Dude, this is such a good question. I'm sorry. Like, because I don't know the answers for sure. Because I feel like an imposter. Here I am releasing this book that I felt so compelled to write so authentically and honestly. It was so funny. If maybe telling a little bit of the story will lead me into a better answer. But like, I was in Tibet 7 years ago. God woke me up in the middle of the night. Like, you're an author. You're an author. You know, those night, like you get I'm like, no, I'm not. I was running a multi-billion-dollar private equity firm, several $100 million venture fund. I was like, I'm an entrepreneur. It wouldn't leave me alone. So I got up like 3 a.m., started typing away, got busy, ran for governor, lost that race, and then got back into writing. So after the governor race, I said, okay, I'll write. So I've given in, I'm writing. Then when I saw what was coming out of my heart, it was like, oh, I'm not writing this. And then, so it was like kind of like this negotiation with my higher self. And then it was, okay, I'll write this, but not honestly. Can't do that. Okay, I'll write it honestly. This is taking you through several years of like negotiation. Okay, I'll write it honestly, but I'm not going to tell a single soul that I've written. I'm literally just going to print a book and say I did it, not tell anyone. I guess my point is, I think that we're all on a spiritual, heroic journey that is ours to find out. And there has to be opposition in all of that. And so I try to, like you said 10 minutes ago, I try to quiet my thoughts just in general. So I don't put a ton of credence on the good ones. Like, Jeff, you're badass. You're doing this. You're cool. I don't put a lot of stock in that, like the momentum. And I also don't put a lot of stock in you're not doing the right thing. What are you thinking? You can't do it. You're an imposter. So I think maybe the first step is like put less stock in your thoughts, right? Number one. I think that the way that we come to truth is more of a feeling. It's more in our heart and bodies than in our minds. So I think we can put less stock in that. Number one. Number two, I think an understanding of so many of those negative thoughts are, I think, in comparison. It's when we're comparing ourselves to others. So I think the underlying baseline, whatever of existence, is an actual divine unity amongst us. Like, there's only one thing that exists, and we are manifestations. There's infinite number of manifestations of consciousness or God or the universe, whatever you want to say, and the one thing that exists. And so I rely heavily on that. I remember I try to think of like, Doug and I are the same, man. Like, we're actually one. We're separate forms and entities right now. And so the point is that helps me with comparison. Like, Doug's success is my success. Like, Doug's happiness is part my happiness. That also means, and it's a double-edged sword, Doug's pain is partly my pain. Doug's sorrow is partly my sorrow. Well, what am I going to do to try to help Doug? And I'm using you as the metaphorical neighbor. It could be anyone. But like, what am I trying to do to help humanity? And do I really think so much of Jeff Burningham, myself, that I'm not willing to lay it on the line for Doug and the rest? No, like, that's, I think, what it's about. I mean, I think Jesus said it right when he said, greater love hath no man than this, than he lay his life down for his friends. I think we're all in that process in some form or fashion. Like, how can we lay down our individual lives, meaning sacrifice them, maybe not what's best for us, in the service of others. Like that's the game, quote unquote, the non-trivial game that we're playing. Like that's the path we're treading. Jesus is the way. And like, yeah. So anyways, that might just got way too woo-woo and deep, but you're asking good questions and I'm kind of riffing with you here, brainstorming, and there's some thoughts.
One thing that was coming up for me that I was kind of laughing internally as you were going through that, because I'm like, yeah, I'm right there with you. We're, one consciousness, we shared suffering, shared love, and we both were raised Mormon.
Yeah.
Right. And that's a long way, that thought process is a long way from, what you're taught in the LDS faith.
Yeah.
And I'm really grateful for my LDS upbringing.
So am I.
I love it. I'm so glad I was raised Mormon. I really am.
Yeah.
And another thing we have in common, Jeff, is we had very profound spiritual experiences working with psychedelics.
Yeah.
Right. My whole first book is on my psychedelic experiences and whatnot.
I read it.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. And it had very profound experiences with working with ayahuasca. And I think we both started similar with mushrooms.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, how did that mushroom experience kind of shape your worldview and change your relationship with God or the universe?
Yeah, it's a great question. Again, I'll go losing into COVID the summer of 2020, dive back into research and venture capital. AI is the big one. Another thing keeps coming up, psychedelics. Like obviously there was a massive mental health concern at that time for good reason because of social isolation, et cetera. And I did research for a year around psychedelics, just along with like all my other venture research, but I got pretty interested and it was a full year of like research. And the best way I could tell you as a former Mormon brother, is like, I felt like commanded. I felt that if I did not eat a mushroom, like I was damned, meaning stuck.
Yeah.
Like I was stuck. This was a year of research. I'll also say this is the first thing, like I had never tasted, of course, alcohol, any drugs, tea or coffee, nothing. Like the hardest thing I'd had was a Diet Coke, true virginal, whatever. And I just felt like I had to do this. And let me just say, I'm not advocating, by the way, for psychedelics. I think, do them carefully, do them legally, just all the disclaimers. Like I shared 2 experiences in the book, my first ayahuasca experience and my first mushroom experience. But what was so fascinating is after eating the mushroom, like I was praying the entire time, like praying for a year beforehand, praying during, praying as I went into it. And God came to me and said, Jeff, like, relax. Relax. Like, no, relax. Like, it's all okay. Like, you're in the right place at the right time, doing the right thing. That's what I felt and saw. And it was funny. I was with one of my best friends in high school. I didn't know he had some experience with them. I didn't know who had any experience with them. And it was funny. I said to him, his name's Dave. I said, Dave, is this an intervention? Did you and Sally, my wife, Sally, did you plan? Is this an intervention for me? He's like, dude, no, like you've never done anything. That's the other thing is it felt instantly, and you can probably relate to a lot of this, and it felt instantly familiar, like it felt like I had done this forever or hundreds, thousands, millions, billions of times. Like I kept saying to Dave, like we have done this before. Whether that's like that experience, whether that's metaphorical lives, whether, it's just so familiar. So anyways, I guess the point is that it was life-changing for me. I mean, it was a life-changing experience. You can't unsee what you've seen, even if you would like to. And there were times where, that first experience was about a year after the governor race, so about 4 years ago now. There have been times in the last 4 years that I was like, just take me back to, ignorance is bliss. I'm really grateful for the experiences I've had. I'm really grateful. I think this is a tool for us, just like the biggest tool for me in my spiritual awakening since the governor race has been meditation. I've become a serious meditator, studying. I love hot and cold therapies.
Love the sauna cold plunge, man.
Yeah.
We got to fire it up, Jeff.
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
Flow activities, like meaning moving your body, like in flow, is very important to me. Like, so there's been a lot of things, but another tool has been some plant medicine experiences that have completely shifted the way that I see some things and helped me settle into a lot of what I've kind of always known and a lot of what I was raised with as well, in a little bit of a different way or form. Or so.
Yeah. One thing that I've been aware of, because I moved away from Utah to LA and to Austin, and those are both kind of strong spiritual psychedelic communities. And one thing that I'm becoming aware of is I've noticed that people who had a Mormon upbringing, me and you, it feels like there's just a different depth and connection with the psychedelic space. And I remember having this aha moment. I was down in Temple Square. My mom works for the church. She's like an executive assistant, really high up. She's working with some big wigs, and I love that she has this job. And we were on Temple Square, and I was kind of like new to my spiritual awakening through psychedelics. And I'm walking around, and I'm seeing the hands laying on of hands of Joseph Smith, and I'm like, oh, Mormonism is a mystical religion.
Yeah.
Well, the whole religion,
it used to be,
is a mystical.
Yeah. Is it still? Yeah.
It's based off a mystical experience.
Yeah. Well, that's how it started.
And I'm like, whoa, like my whole life, my foundation of my life is built upon these teachings and this whole experience of Mormonism, which was inspired by a mystical experience. Like Joseph Smith went out into the woods and saw God. And my belief is that I believe that Joseph Smith believes he saw what he saw.
Yeah.
Did it actually happen or not? I don't know, right? But I believe that he believes that happened. How he got there? Did he eat a mushroom in the forest? Makes sense to me. I don't know, right? But in my experience, the point I'm trying to make is in Utah, there's kind of like the psychedelic renaissance happening. It's kind of cool to go do mushrooms now in Utah, and a lot of people are doing it in their healing groups. But it feels like because we were raised in a mystical religion and have standards and spirituality, and that we were raised with the belief that we have connection to God and that we can pray to God and that the still small voice will lead us, guide us, walk beside us, help us find the way, right? That we're more open to the depth of where the medicine can go.
Yeah, I think so. I think that makes sense. And yeah, I'm certainly grateful for the way that I was raised. Like I said, there's no perfect family. There's no perfect faith tradition. All of those will wound us in some way. And in our middle age, we get to heal that wounding or not. We get to keep stuffing it down.
Sure.
We get to not look at it, or we can go inside ourselves and kind of look at it. I think that AI is forcing us, it's nudging us towards this rabbit hole. Then it will probably push. And I think eventually if it's going to force us inside of ourselves to discover the reality of who we are and what reality is, and then to try to come to more peace with that within each one of ourselves. So, yeah, I mean, I was at church on Sunday. I have 2 kids at BYU. I appreciate the faith tradition. I may see it a little differently, but I love the people there. I love the community. And, I'm so thankful, like you said, for being raised in it. And honestly, the way that I see it now, I think there's a karmic, I would argue that there's a karmic reason that you and I were raised in this
100%. I believe
religion.
That.
And I would say that to everyone, all your listeners, like whatever faith tradition they grew up with or whatever it was, like there are reasons that you're with the people you're with. Like, I don't think your family is just and your close friends, but your parents and siblings, that's just not, I just don't think that's random. I don't think your faith tradition, when and where you were born, is just random. I think there's reason to all these things. And, it's a fun exploration to try to gain peace and not get bitter about the challenges, the imperfection of it all, but to embrace it all with as much ease, love, and grace as absolutely possible.
Yeah, one thing you talk about that is it feels very intentional from my perspective. And my woo-woo beliefs, it's like this was all, I planned it this way, right?
Yeah.
And one thing you said that I invigorated a memory is in your psychedelic experience, you said there was like this feeling of remembrance.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget my first breakthrough on ayahuasca where I like broke through, like DMT breakthrough. I was in kind of this, I don't even know how to describe it, like this hub center of just like infinite learning and understanding, just being
The
coming in.
library.
The
Yeah,
library,
the
right?
Akashic records.
Whatever
Yeah,
that is.
yeah.
And I remember my first thought when I was experiencing that was like, oh, I remember this place. I've been here before.
Yeah.
Like, and I don't know how you can explain that. Like, if I'm having an experience of visually seeing something that I've never experienced before in my brain that I could have reimagined or conjured, and my feeling was a remembrance,
Yeah.
a knowingness, and yeah, again, once to your point, it's like once you see that, you can't undo
Yeah.
it. You can't undo
Yeah.
it, you know.
Yeah.
And I'll share this. This is kind of personal, but I don't think I've ever shared this publicly, but I went really deep down the psychedelic rabbit hole, especially 2019, 2018, 2019. 2019, I was working with 5-MeO DMT, which is the toad venom. First experience with 5-MeO DMT, insane, beautiful, like literally swam in infinity with God. Like Doug no longer existed. My awareness returned back to source,
Yeah.
bliss, beautiful. Second time I did it, I took so much. Like I wanted to push the limit to what was possible. And it was very unpleasant, very schizophrenic, very overwhelmed, very panicked, just very unsettled. Like my normal life for probably 30 days after was really unsettling and it was really scary, like on the verge of a mental breakdown. So there are dangers with psychedelics.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't think I'll ever do 5-MeO ever again.
Yeah.
But I went and saw, what the point I'm trying to make here is I went and saw a psychiatrist and it was so profound. I went to one meeting with him and I told them, I'm like, I think I've done too much psychedelics. I lost my mind. I did DMT. Like none of this is real. I'm not real. You're not real. Like, what's the point of all this? It's all code, the matrix, lost in the sauce.
Yeah.
Then he asked me, he's like, well, what are you doing with your life right now? I'm like, well, I'm building an app and I'm also working on a book, it's a couple of years ago. And he's like, oh, he's like, first off, I've worked with people who have gone schizophrenic. You're not schizophrenic.
Yeah.
And he goes, what does Doug like to do? And I'm like, I love college football. I love playing golf.
Yeah.
I love going to my sister's house and having a barbecue and hanging out at the pool. Right? I love going to movies with my mom.
Yeah.
And he goes, you should just focus on that.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, yeah, just go be human.
Yeah. Like the most powerful ideas are the most simple.
Yeah.
And therefore often the most neglected.
Yeah.
We're here. We're human. I would say, Doug, we are here. We're like, this is as real. I say in the book, maybe all we do is dream. Whether this is a dream, it feels real right now when we're sleeping tonight and having a dream that might feel real, but we're having some sort of existence, an experience. We can't argue that. So what do we do with our time here? Like, what do, and I think it's about laying down our lives for our friends or using our talents to bless humanity in whatever way brings us bliss. By the way, I've told my students at BYU, like, your talents, your interests are keys to where you should. They're like little breadcrumbs. Like follow the breadcrumbs of your interests, follow the breadcrumbs of your talents. They're leading you down a path to where you should ultimately be and what you can ultimately do to bless your family and to bless humanity the best you can. And so to me, all this stuff is compatible. I know it may sound weird. I know, I've had a lot of trepidation in releasing this book and doing it wholeheartedly and vulnerably. But my hope is that it brings humanity closer together. It gives some people some courage. One of the hard things, we don't speak the truth. We're afraid to, we feel like we have to fit into a box. And I don't think that's a safe way forward in the age of highly intelligent machines. In the age of AI, it's time for us to continue to transform and evolve.
Yeah.
And to use this powerful tool to do that. And that's what this book is about. If you would have told me, again, okay, so it's August, 5 years ago, summer of 2020, I was probably on Coeur d'Alene Lake 5 years ago right now. And if you would have said, Jeff, we're going to be podcasting in 5 years about a book that is about to launch, the last book written by a human, that's your title, about humanity and AI, I would have said,
no chance.
No way. Like, that's that just wasn't even on my radar. I had never planned to be an author. I'm really just trying to follow the voice of my own conscious, the voice of my own soul, the higher voice, the spirit, God, whatever word you want to use. I'm trying to follow my intuition to do what I'm supposed to do. And that I'm 48 years old. That continues to unfold. I don't have all the answers. I don't know where this is headed. I don't know how the book's going to be accepted or rejected exactly. I don't know how many copies I'll sell. I don't know if it'll be a thing or nothing. I don't. And by the way, that's kind of not my business.
Yeah.
My business was to create, and sorry, I'm kind of passionate about this stuff. So sorry if I'm getting too loud and preaching too much here, but like my business was to put my whole heart and soul in the best way that I could into this little piece of art, this book that I view as an offering to the divine, and then let go of any outcome. It's not up to me.
You know, you say it so beautiful. And one of my favorite questions to ask people, because I like to tie this all together, is how good have you been at predicting exactly how your life was going to go? Terrible, right?
Yeah. That's just like not how it happens.
Yeah. So given your track record, how good are you going to be moving forward?
Yeah.
Terrible.
Yeah.
Right. And so to your point, right? It's how can I get out of my own way, follow that innate voice, that calling inside of me, express it with my highest ability, give it my heart, my blood, sweat, and tears, while then detaching from the result.
Yeah.
Super hard to do.
Super hard. Easy to
do.
talk about,
Yeah.
hard to do.
Yeah. And in my experience, if you can, Michael Singer's word, surrender to the flow and do that to your best of your ability, my belief is that God's plan for us, or the universe's plans for us, is way bigger than we have for ourselves.
Yeah. It's way better.
Bigger, better.
Whatever it is.
Expansive.
I think it's better because it matches, let's say, our DNA, our soul's code, whatever you want to say. Like we're living in flow with like our purpose and why we're here, our innate talents and interests, like you said. So I think it's way better. I totally agree. I kind of am a visionary guy. That seems to be one of my strengths. So like, I kind of have these strong feelings about outcomes. I think you could see that actually in my career and everything I've done. We don't need to rehash it. What I'm not good at is like how in the world I'm going to get like the path to get there. I do not. Yeah.
You can see where you'll end. The path there is never.
Yeah. The
way.
path is just not
Can't predict the path.
I can't predict the path.
Yeah.
I got a feeling, an innate sense, kind of like that familiarity in the psychedelic experience. Like I have this familiar sense of some of what's coming and where we need to go, where I need to go, what I need to do. But the path to get there, I don't know. And by the way, isn't that fun?
Yeah.
Like, thank goodness. That's how it's supposed to be.
It'd be boring if we knew.
And again, we've gotten really spiritual woo-woo here. I don't know. Like what is an eternal being, which I think we are meant to do? Like you've got to forget. Yeah. You've got to not be all powerful. You've got to limit yourself. I mean, after so many billions, trillions, I don't even know what time is, but of like forever, you've got to remember what it really feels like to be embodied again, to hurt again, to love again, your first kiss, your first heartbreak, your victories, your losses. Like these are things we want to feel again and remember that even though we've done this forever and we'll keep doing this forever, there's beauty in it and there's magic in it. And that's the game that we're playing together here, I think.
So beautiful, brother. It reminds me, and I'll share this story with you because it encapsulates what you're saying. I remember in my like seekingness of trying to figure out the path. I got to figure out what's going on out here. Like I got to have it all under control and what's these inner workings of spirituality and psychedelics. And I remember being in this meditation and I was meditating, and in this meditation I had the strong visual that I had just died. And I had died and returned back to all knowingness and to remembrance and to universal whatever. And to your point, it was like this feeling of familiarity. I'm like, oh yeah, of course. This is eons. This is eternity. We've always known this. This is the true nature of reality. And then I was like, oh shit, I wasted my whole experience as Doug trying to get back to something that's infinite.
Yeah.
And I'm like, but I don't get Doug back. Because once Doug's dead, once my body's in the ground, like it ain't coming back.
Yeah.
And I'm like, don't waste your experience as Doug and all of my unique talents and the things that I like and the things that I enjoy and the friends that I
Yeah.
have and the nature that trying to figure out the thing that's infinite,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. And it's already, I would say another way, and I agree, is already inside of you. It's
Right.
there. You don't need to cover it up. So much of healing and progress, it's not additive. It's not adding more stuff.
Yeah.
I'm saying more crap. Like, again, this goes a little bit back to AI, like selling us things. You need this, you need that, you need to be this way. It's actually shedding, it's letting go
Yeah.
of the false or erroneous programs that we've breathed that are just in the air. Like we've absorbed them. And again, a lot of it's good, but not all of it's good. And it's our work to shed. It's our work to let that go. And only when we do that will we be, I think, at complete peace or peace with the reflection we see in the mirror, with you or any of us being on our deathbed and saying, I made mistakes. I gave it my all, though. Like for let's say, Jeff, I left it on the field.
I earned this death.
Yeah. People misunderstood what I was doing. They judged it harshly. They were mean to me. They were too nice to me. They were all the things to me. They didn't understand me, but I earned this. Like I gave it my all. I left it all out on the field, quote unquote. And I can be at peace with that. Like that's what I'm shooting for in life. That's why I'm taking what I would say is the road less traveled. I should have written a book about, I'm making this up, how cool I am, all the things I've learned and all the businesses I built, how wealthy I
mean, you could
am.
write multiple business books. On
I could write. Yeah, that would be easy. But that's not, this book is kind of the opposite. I tell you the worst of myself. I tell you where I've really struggled. And I do it because I have to take the medicine, the thing that I'm preaching, which is humanity's evolution and transformation. Like I've got to live that. Otherwise, the words on the page mean nothing. So I've taken the medicine myself. I'm trying my best to live it. I still fall short, of course, all the time. But it's been a transformative experience for me. And, I have no idea where my winding path is taking me, but I'm confident that I'm on the right winding path for me.
And as you look forward, right, you're 48 years old now, kind of moving into a new phase of life. What does spark your aliveness and your humanness moving forward?
I'm asked this a lot, and I'm asked about politics and blah, blah, blah. And I hope, I don't want to run for office again. I hope there is no politics in my future. Like that's my hope. If I felt I think what I've shown a track record in doing, and we haven't talked about my entrepreneurship career because who cares? I think I've shown a track record to follow my gut and heart and to have it work out the right way.
That's what Casey Ba's podcast was for, right?
That's right.
Yeah. Love C-Ba.
Yeah. That's what I have shown a track record to do. So my point is that's what I'll continue to do.
Yeah.
So if I felt really strongly that I would run, I would run. My point is, but I don't know what I'm going to feel strongly to do. What I know now is that this book, the last book written by a human, launches August 19th. I'm putting my heart and soul into letting people know about it if it resonates right for them, to buy a copy, to share their thoughts with me. I'm not hard to find. You can just Google me. You'll find me. This book is meant to be a conversation starter because I think we need to talk about AI not in terms of utility and money making, but in terms of existential progress and transformation and awakening. And so it's supposed to be a conversation starter and then lead to a movement if there is a movement to be had. Like I talk in there about a human political movement is what I call it. That's the gist. What occurs and how that happens, I have no idea. And I just want to keep serving, using my talents, being happy. Of course, let me just say one other thing. I'm so in love, like with my wife. So, like this is all about love. You feel that, you know that. I think all of us ache for that. All of us want that. But you could really strip a lot of what we spoke about today just out and say, this is about love and a love story with ourselves, with God, and with other people. Like that's what it's about, like love. And so I feel like I preached a lot today, dude. Sorry, you asked good questions. I feel like the vibe's been good. I've shared a lot, but hopefully people find this is interesting. I don't know.
I think it's a perfect place to end. That the point of the whole thing is love, brother.
It is
It really is. So
real
where
love.
and last thing, just kind of promote the book. Where is the best place to get it? Where can people find it?
Get it anywhere books are sold, Amazon, Barnes and Noble, Walmart, Target, wherever. The best place to find me is just at my website. It's jeffburningham.com. It used to be Governor Race website like 5 years ago, 6 years ago. Now it's about the book and about me. And then I try to meet people where they're at. I don't love social media and I'm not great at it, but I'm at Jeff Burningham on almost every social media platform. So if you prefer LinkedIn or Instagram, I'm there. Or I launched a Substack and TikTok, I think like 2 weeks ago. So I'm just trying to talk to people in whatever form and medium they like to. So that's where you can find me. And yeah, I'd love for people to buy the book and then to share their thoughts with me. Like, what did you think about it? What resonated? What didn't? I'd love to start a conversation around these ideas.
Well, you're a great conversationalist, brother, and it's all rooted in authenticity and love. And I appreciate you coming on, man.
It's good to be with you, Doug. Love you, man.
Love you.